quotes from Sinclair B. Ferguson. From the Kindle, Deep Christian Quotes and Bible Verses. First quote. Christianity is Christ, because there isn't anything else. There is no atonement that somehow can be detached from who the Lord Jesus is. There is no grace that can be attached to you, transferred from Him. All there is Christ and your soul. Second quote. Knowing God is your single greatest privilege as a Christian. Third quote. Those who are most conscious of forgiveness are invariably those who have been most acutely convicted of their sin. Fourth quote. You do not become a master musician by playing just as you please, by imagining that learning the scales is sheer legalism and bondage. No, true freedom in any area of life is the consequence of regular discipline. It is no less true of the life of prayer. Fifth quote. Appearances can be deceptive. The fact that we cannot see what God is doing does not mean that He is doing nothing. The Lord has His own timetable. It is we who must learn to adjust to it, not vice versa. When God's time comes, nothing will stand in His way. We can therefore wait for Him with this happy confidence. As for God, His way is perfect. 2 Samuel 22:31. Sixth quote. It is God who gives us the spirit of worship, Psalm 133:3, and it is what we know of God that produces this spirit of worship. We might say that worship is simply theology, doctrine, what we think about God, going into top gear. Instead of merely thinking about Him, we tell Him, in prayer and praise and song, how great and glorious we believe Him to be. Seventh quote. Anyone who comes to grips with the issues raised in the marrow of modern divinity, will almost certainly grow by leaps and bounds, in understanding three things: the grace of God, the Christian life, and the very nature of the gospel itself. Eighth quote. Christian contentment, therefore, is the direct fruit of having no higher ambition than to belong to the Lord, and to be totally at His disposal, in the place He appoints, at the time He chooses, with the provision He is pleased to make. Ninth quote. Thankfulness grows best in the seedbed of conviction, just as some plants must be placed in the soil in the winter, if they are to flower in the summer. 10th quote. Humility is not simply feeling small and useless, like an inferiority complex. It is sensing how great and glorious God is, and seeing myself in that light. 11th quote. God is God, you are but one of His creatures. Your only joy is to be found in obeying Him, your true fulfillment is to be found in worshiping Him, your only wisdom is to be found in trusting and knowing Him. 12th quote. There is a difference between going to a service for the worship and going to a service to worship the Lord. The distinction appears to be a minor one, but it may imply the difference between the worship of God and the worship of music. 13th quote. We best defend the Lord's glory by speaking first to Him about unbelieving men, rather than speaking first about Him to unbelieving men. 14th quote. Regeneration, however it is described, is a divine activity in us, in which we are not the actors but the recipients. 15th quote. God can be trusted even when He cannot be seen or understood. Thanks.